Welcome, everyone, to episode 42 of Cocktail Hour. Woo!
Yay!
You know, right? I'm Andy.
I'm Liz.
And we have a silent person in the background who may or may not make a comment from time to time. We have Adrienne.
Howdy.
Oh, she did say something. Yay.
See, I got text next to me ready just in case she has to say something, because she was so madly in love with your book, The Fling, reading it religiously, as anyone should. And so I said, you know what, you're going to be here. If something comes across your mind and you feel like the spirit is moving you to speak about this particular topic, then just join in.
Yeah.
I love it. That sounds great.
Yep. And with us is Rebekah Weatherspoon. Yes?
Hello.
Oh, yay. Did I say it right?
Yes, Weatherspoon, yeah.
Yay! I was going to do this big old long intro, but surprise! I got thrown the hell out. Actually, I'm going to do a little bit. So let me pull up my little research. I did a little research on you.
Yay.
I know,
love
right?
Research.
Mm-hmm. So I found out. Oh, Rad came online. No, Rad, we are not having you on, honey. Go away.
Oh, wait, Rad, quit. You had-
That's awesome. She probably wants to know who won the giveaway. Well, we will get to that. But yeah, since Rebekah's on, I found out she's on Twitter. That sister's on Twitter.
I am on Twitter. I'm on Twitter a lot.
At Rebekah, let me give it to everybody so they can hear. At Rebekah, REBEKAHWSM. She also has a website called Let Us See Shall We at Let Us See Shall We.blogspot.com.
That's it?
Where you blog a lot, right?
I do.
Yay.
Oh, I try to, yeah.
All right. And you can buy her books at Bold Strokes Books or Amazon or anywhere else.
That's true. That is correct.
Nowhere else? That's it?
And no, you can. It's all over. Just Google it. Start at Bold Strokes, and then if that fails you, just Google. It's all over the place.
It's all over the place.
It's not possible for Bold Strokes to fail you.
I was going to say, that's not possible.
I don't think that'll happen, but...
Yeah, that's not possible. So welcome to our show. We're very happy you're here.
Thank you for having me.
Mm-hmm. And before we get to be all about Rebekah, because, you know, we want to be all about Rebekah today, I wanted to take a moment to talk about the winner of the Rad Book giveaway. We had a question that we posed to our audience. And let me see if I can get that question pulled back up. I had it a minute ago, and what happened? Went right out.
It was the name of the blood servant and
yes.
bartender at Nocturne.
Correct. You go, girl.
See, yep. I'm there for you, man. I'm with you. I'm in support.
Oh, God. The answer was Guy. And our winner is, and please forgive me if I don't pronounce this correctly, but it's Orlise Weir. So, yay, Orlise. Woo!
Congratulations.
Yeah. So I will forward your information to Radcliffe, and then so she can get your information and get a book out to you. So, you know, thank you for playing.
Thank you for your support.
That's right. Thank you for your support.
It's a Bartles and James moment.
I can't believe you remember Bartles and James. You're still young. What the hell?
Well, you know, I'm just constant just because I was underage. I wasn't using yet, but I was pondering it.
That's awesomeness. Okay, so let's talk.
Today we decided that I decided that we were going to have beer as the cocktail. And Adrienne made fun of me when we were going to the liquor store when I said I wanted to have Stella. And she's like, there's so many other better beers than that. So, like, we were around this place. It's like a little warehousey kind of thing. And so many different boutique beers. And we got, like, a shitload of stuff that I don't know if we'll ever be able to drink all of. And but the drink that I am enjoying today is, like, a little nostalgic for me because I traveled a lot when I was younger to Europe, you know, backpacking and whatnot. And so I chose the Hofbrau München. So it's like Hofbrau House. And it's a Hofbrau Maibock. And it's a very kind of sweet, darker beer, not like a stout or anything like that, but it's very nice and yummy. And I'll shoot a photograph so that we can have it associated with this episode. And it's yummy, and I'm looking forward to drinking it as we interview.
Yay! Rebekah is not drinking. We found out.
No, I'm not drinking.
Lori, it's cocktail hour. She's not drinking. Okay, so what you have nothing in front of you? No water, no...
I have a bottle of Smart Water in front of me. That's what I have.
Look at you. So healthy.
She's so brainy. Her water's brainy.
I'm actually drinking iced decaf coffee. I can't wait for...
Any sweetener? Any cream in there?
Naked.
Black?
Yep.
Naked.
I just can't wait for GCLS so I can have a couple of damn cocktails, because I actually miss having a cocktail from time to time.
It's so relaxing. Every once in a while you need just a little bit of that feeling from a good cocktail or a nice ice cold beer.
Mm-hmm.
So, Ms. Rebekah, today we are reviewing your sexy-ass book called The Flame. with so much wonderful fucking that you just made me so happy. Because my friend Adrian finds me to be a porn evangelist.
Oh, that's
Porn
awesome.
evangelist. I like that.
Not to drink while I'm talking. She almost spewed beer all over my room. Would be saying that because I'm very particular. Even though I like gratuitous nudity, I've actually read erotic novels that I was skipping the actual sex scenes because I was just so incredulous by the language that was being used, and it just was not working. And I am vehement about fading to black, specifically in circumstances where if you are going to build this sexual tension between two romantic leads, and you're going to talk about all the yummy things that happen between them and the little twinges and whatnot that they get in each other's presence, and if you play it up like that and then drop me off a cliff with a fade to black, I get very ticked. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm fine. There's some novels I feel like telling authors, just don't have romantic interests in it. Let it be historical. Let it be action. Let it be suspense. There's absolutely no need to just toss it in there and just do such short shrift. And one of the things I appreciate about your stuff, Rebekah, is you never let us down.
That's nice. That's nice.
I'm glad to be of assistance in that way.
Right?
Oh, yeah. I proselytize about your books. I'm like, buy Better Off Red now.
Thank you very much.
Just so much great stuff. I'm like, you must buy The Flame now.
That's cute.
That's so funny. No, I'm of the same mind. I think I've read a lot of romances that don't have a lot of sex, that it was completely minimal to almost no sex in the story. But the characters were so interesting and the story was so interesting that I didn't mind if there was fade to black moments or if there was moments where the sex wasn't that descriptive. That didn't bother me because the story was so good. I think sometimes... Go ahead.
I said I agree with you on that. There are a few authors, one that comes to mind is Jane Fletcher. Mm-hmm. And I like her Ceylon series. Mm-hmm. And the character development and the romance development is just so lovely and very well developed, that even though the lovemaking may be brief and not detailed and in some ways fade to black, it's still poignant.
Yeah, I think for me, I think of I think I'm about, did I lose you guys?
No, we're still here.
Oh, okay. No, I think of Mary Shannon's The Sword of the Guardian for me, which has, I don't think, almost any sex in it, really. But I love that story. I mean, I read it, I think I read it in one sitting. It was so good. And I at no point in the story was I thinking, I was like, oh, I hope they get together. But never at one point in the story was I like, this could use more sex. Because I was so into the characters that I was like, this is really good. And even at the end when there was no crazy boning from the rafters or anything like that, I was very, I was very happy with that because the story was so good. But for me, I will sit down and try. I've tried to Fade to Black. I actually just submitted a YA short where I couldn't, and I was two teenagers, so I couldn't get carried away. And I was a little proud of myself for getting through that without writing a really heavy sex scene. But usually it goes two ways. I've sat down and tried to write erotica, and it doesn't work. I always end up with a full romance every time. I'll sit down and say, I'm just going to write a bunch of sex scenes, and, people are just going to have to deal with whatever kinky stuff is going on in my head. And the next thing I know, I'm thinking of grandmothers, and I'm thinking of puppies, and I'm thinking of work, situations, and I'm wanting to know what's their favorite coffee shop, and I'm thinking of their first kid. It becomes a whole romance, and I'm like, you know what, this was supposed to be, a short erotica where they just met, and it was a wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, sort of thing, and I have a full novel about two people who fall in love. So, yeah, I've tried to write straight erotica. It does not work. And I've tried to Fade to Black with my adult stuff, and that doesn't work either because I want to know. I want to know what's going on in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that I've never heard that before. I like that you have experimented with those things, and I never even thought of it that way. And I guess everybody has their own. I guess the way that you mentally process something. And for me, I can write a lot of straight up porn, and I also can write, the full length novel type of story. So I don't have, problems with that. But I don't know. I guess initially when I first started writing stuff, I was fading to black because I was thinking my parents are going to read this.
Oh, well, it's funny that you say that because my parents read my stuff. And my father, I'm pretty sure, is emotionally scarred by it, but will not stop reading my stuff.
Oh, wow.
He read Better Off Red, and he said he really liked it. And he said he loved it. And he wrote me this really, really great email where he's highlighted passages that he really liked from the book, and he went on and on about the characterization, and I was so happy. He loved the book, and then he said, I got to the sex scene, and then I realized my kid wrote this.
No.
And the fling came out. I told him, I said, Dad, don't read the fling. I was like, don't do it. I was like, I think a couple of the characters are based on people that our family, we mutually know. So he kind of wanted to read about those people, and I wrote it, so he's trying to be supportive. But I gave him a copy of the book, and I was like, here, put it on your bookshelf. Tell people, you can tell whoever you want, don't read it. I said, the sex in this, this isn't vampires and all this other stuff. I said, this is just two grown women, having sex. So don't read it. He texted me the next day, I'm halfway through the fling. Man, this book has a lot of sex in it. And I was like, I'm like, Dad, I told you not to read it. Why are you reading it? But he read it cover to cover. And he didn't disown me, so I guess he's okay.
You can't go don't read this, Because
I'll tell him.
What? Don't read this? What the hell's in there? I have to know what's in there. It must go in there. Must read it.
No, he read it. He's a trooper. But he liked the story again. But he was like, the sex is just too much.
That is too damn funny.
I don't know. I might have to write something tame for him just so he can read it and not be flinching the whole time.
Yeah. Well, why don't we tantalize our listening audience here? Can you give us a short synopsis or even read the book jacket as to what this story's about?
Oh, yeah, about the fling? Sure.
Yeah.
1 second. Hold on 1 second. I don't have the book in my hand.
Oh, righty then. See? Surprise.
Let me go out to my fancy bookshelf. I'll summarize it for you, too. I mean, I was reading from the book jacket. It's one of those things where you write something down and the minute you read it, you're like, why did I write that? The fling is, to me, it's kind of a second chance at a first love kind of story. The main character, Annie, she is a reality show producer in Los Angeles, and she's about to get married to a guy she's been dating for about 6 or 7 years. And she kind of hatches a plan to do something instead of her bachelorette party, and she decides that she's going to sleep with another woman. That's going to be her kind of one chance before she gets married. And her boyfriend, for his out, he goes to Europe for a month with his friends. So they kind of have an agreement that they're going to have this little free-for-all before they get married. And then when they get married, they've sold their wild oats, so they're ready to go. So she ends up coming to a very adult, consensual, mutual agreement with her trainer, Oksana, and they sleep together and subsequently find out that one night together is not enough.
Mm-hmm.
Otra noche, otra. There's actually a reggaeton song like that. It's like, Dile que bailando te conocí. I met you dancing, and tell your boyfriend or husband that you want another night with me. I want another night with you. It's pretty fucking hot.
That pretty much sums up what's going on here. Yeah.
So, what inspired you to write this story?
This story actually, Better Off Red just kind of came to me, but this actually had a direct inspiration. My friend Vanessa, who I love dearly, she had a new trainer, Maria, who I'm actually friends with now, and when she first started training with Maria, she would not shut up about her. And she would not shut up about her. And I was like, you and Maria should totally just sleep together. But Vanessa's straight, so she was like, haha, very, very funny. So we were hanging out together one day, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to write a story about a girl who bones her trainer. And oddly enough, Vanessa in real life is actually a reality show producer. So we worked together in television too. So I took some kind of fun stuff that happened to us in real life and kind of wove it into a story. So, and Oksana too is based on a Russian exchange student that we had when I was 8 or 9. So a lot of people in this book are based on people I know in real life.
Did you get waivers?
I did not, but people I told were just so happy to be mentioned in my work. They were not asking for any sort of compensation.
That's pretty awesome.
You just said boned.
Yes, she did.
You said boned.
I say bone all the time.
Stuff like that is awesome.
I say bone all the time. I like to make up words, and I say stuff like bone all the time. That's just me.
So how long have you been writing?
I've been writing, I've been writing like fan fiction stuff since 2008, and I've been writing my own stuff since 2010.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm kind of new to the game. Let me take that back. I've been screenwriting since 2004.
Oh, okay.
So I've been screenwriting for a while, but I just started I started a novel back in 2006, but that didn't go anywhere. So, I picked up the novel writing again in 2010.
Okay, so let me ask you, what fan fiction did you write?
I wrote Twilight fan fiction.
Get the hell out. You did not, really?
I did.
That's awesome.
It led me in a very positive direction, and I met a lot of really, really great people through it. So I know a lot of people don't like those books, and trust me, definitely see the flaws in them. But I think the reason why a lot of people like to write Twilight fan fiction, which is different from other fandoms, and that people get wrapped up in kind of what's already there. I think for me with Twilight, there was no offense to Stephanie Meyer, I don't even know if I should say this, but there were so many untapped characters in that series. I don't know if you guys read them, but there's one female werewolf who just totally gets the shaft, like completely. I'm 4 books down, and she totally gets the shaft. So I wrote a bunch of fan fiction for her because I felt bad. So I was like, I want to write some stories for this character because she gets left out to dry in a really bad way. And there's a lot of other backstories to that in the series that are really good, but she doesn't explore them. So that's kind of where I went with fan fiction.
And they're still online?
They are.
Are they?
I actually heard some of my fellow BSB authors have read them.
Really? Well, I was just going to say, did you want to share, the site? Is it fanfiction.net or where is it?
Yeah. I'm under Lipsmacked.
Lipsmacked? I like that.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
That sounds sickly, sticky, sweet.
I know, sounds good.
Like lip gloss. That's what so I picked that.
So you've done a little screenwriting too. Television, movies?
Movies. I've written a few screenplays. So, yeah, nothing's happened with that yet, but fingers are crossed.
Well, I've got a friend that's doing the same thing, and she lives in L.A. She's trying, she's working really hard at trying to sell her stuff and get recognized.
Yeah, it's hard. It's a really bizarre waiting game.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah. Wow. Well, good luck to you. Holy crap.
Thank you.
It'd be awesome. It'd be really awesome. Okay, so what else is on the slab, sister? What else you got going on?
Right now I'm actually writing something that I didn't really mean to write it. I was going to write YA about something completely different, and while I was kind of letting my brain rest after I wrote the next installment in the vampire series, I came up with a story, kind of a BDSM erotic romance that deals with age play.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and that's going to be available soon, right?
Yeah. As soon as I finish writing it, I'm about halfway through, or like a quarter of a way through writing it. So,
all right.
We'll see where that goes.
So, hopefully, goes to print.
To talk about the fling, one of the things that I found special and very different was that Annie, she not only fell in love with Oksana, she fell in love with Oksana's family. And when they had a falling out, she didn't simply miss her, she missed the family as well, a family that is much more loving and together and connected than her own. And, that was unusual. And I remember thinking that, what a great pair these two women will be once they figure everything out. Because when some folks, they may like each other, but not like each other's friends or family. And that's problematic for somebody whose family is so integral to who they are.
Yeah.
And, I thought it was great. I loved, Annie's connection to Oksana's little sister and, all of that, especially like the taciturn grandma and, that ultimately is incredibly loving towards Oksana and her other granddaughter and then by extension Annie. It's meaningful when like a real tough cookie decides you're worth her time.
Yeah. I write, so far I'm seeing the family theme kind of pop up a lot in the stuff I'm writing, which wasn't necessarily intentional, but I think in the fling it's kind of a multi-layered thing. Again, Oksana is based on a Russian exchange student we had, and I lived in New Hampshire growing up, so it was kind of interesting that my sister ended up taking Russian, and my brother and I both took it after her. And we had one exchange student before, and then when my sister entered the program again, there just happened to be one other black girl in the program. So, they were like, well, would you guys want her to, come stay with you? So she came and stayed with us, and our first Russian exchange student, he was great, but, it was more of a formal thing. I think he was just really looking for some place to, sneak, vodka and cigarettes and stuff. But Oya, who's the second exchange student we had, she clicked with our family so fast. And, me and my sister used to fight all the time. We used to, beat each other up. But she became kind of this amazing presence in our house. In short order, it was she just meshed with us so well, and we are still in touch with her. That was 20 years ago,
wow.
And we're still in touch with her. I still talk to her on Facebook. I still email with her. Actually, when I wrote the fling, I was talking to her about the character. So it was kind of cool that we had, because I think a lot of times people think exchange programs are just kind of like a blip in someone's life, and it's kind of neat that she's still in our lives. My sister still talks to her all the time. My mom still talks to her. So, yeah, I think family always kind of pops up a lot, too, because my friends and I out here in Los Angeles, I think there's a lot of makeshift families. I know a lot of people come out here. LA is like a place where people like run away to. I think Vegas is one of those places where people like run away to thinking they're going to be there for a weekend and then end up getting trapped. But I think a lot of people like run away to Los Angeles. That's where they go, I'm going to be a star. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Like, there's so many quote unquote like runaway kids in Los Angeles, and then when you get here, and I have the character of Scooter in The Fling is actually based on my friend Chris, who lives out here, and he's from Atlanta, and my friend Vanessa, who inspired the book, she's from Chicago, and we have like kind of a makeshift family out here because all of our our parents and our brothers and sisters are all either East Coast or Midwest, and so there's a lot of makeshift families in Los Angeles. So I kind of wanted to give that feel, even with Ronnie and Noelle's characters too. That Oksana has her grandmother and her sister, but she also has these friends that she loves like family. So that was kind of real life inspired.
I'm a real big fan of Chosen Family. Oftentimes, oftentimes, unfortunately, that's all that queer kids and adults have. But yeah, when you were mentioning the whole runaway thing, of course, growing up in the 80s, thinking of Welcome to the Jungle by Guns N' Roses. Yes. So like the second you say that, like, the picture of him with like, a bit of straw in his mouth coming off the train. And,
off the bus. Yeah.
So it's like automatically, I'm like half listening to you, but my brain is short circuiting and just seeing Axl Rose go bonkers with like fucked up hair. I'm like, I'm trying to listen to you, but I have my attention right now.
That's fine. Sorry, I'm a little long-winded. Get me going. I just keep going.
Oh no, you're not long-winded. I'm like I'm a moment two talker person, So I wouldn't even notice. Blah 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 blah.
See, I like that about Liz, actually.
That's funny.
I'm so tangential. You never know where the fuck I'm gonna go with a particular question. I'm like la la la, traipsing through the daisies, la 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 la.
Oh yeah, I don't think we mentioned to Rebekah early before we started recording that profanity is encouraged on this show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I'm all for it, especially, things that women cringe about, like the C word, cunt. I love it.
Yeah,
and like some people go like, ooh.
That's so funny. No, my favorite word, I think, like in the English language, is pussy. That's like my favorite word.
Woo!
Well, I like that one better than cunt. I'm of the other camp.
I think cunt like suits a certain situation. It definitely suits a certain situation.
Yeah, but to me, it's always derogatory though.
JD Glass's characters say it a lot, and like Punk Like Me and her other roles, and I think it's so damn hot because it's unusual and unique, and it actually fits the gritty, urban punk thing. And I can see how it just doesn't fit in other things. And I also, there are certain sounds or certain words that elicit an immediate response, like pussy for that matter. And all the other double entendres that you can string together. But at the same time, I guess because I consider myself somewhat of a porn aficionado, like there are certain things that I really enjoy. And language is one of them, because I was mentioning another book earlier, which of course I'm not going to flame anybody. But one of the things that, jarred me and just made me completely disinterested in the novel was inappropriate language. Language that did not fit the characters, did not fit the setting, did not fit the moment or the tone. And
even if it was correct for the time.
Exactly. It could be, it could be fact checked to like the nth degree, and I'll be like, I can't cope with you saying you punched a girl's pussy while you were fisting her. Cervix is just, that doesn't get me all warm and cozy. It's just so it's disconcerting.
It doesn't make you hot. Is that what you're saying? You didn't trip your switch.
No, I'm all for fisting. I actually wrote a short erotic story for actually the Cocktail Hour when I was just a fan and not a guest co-host like Hard Rock Candy, and there's fisting in there, so it's not like I'm against the act.
No, fisting is fantastic. Fisting's great.
Just a question, switching to Better Off Red.
Okay.
What has attracted you? I mean, you said you had written Twilight fan fiction. What brought you into the genre?
Well, it's interesting. For me, I don't consider the Twilight series to be a paranormal series. Because she goes so far away from traditional vampire mythology. I mean, I don't even feel like, for me, I didn't feel like that was even a twist on it. I didn't feel like, for me, vampires are so sexual and homicidal and a number of things that was not going on in Twilight at all.
Yeah, no kidding. But they had sparkles.
And they did sparkle. So for me, that really just I read that in my head as a YA romance. That's how I read it. And I kind of gave up on the paranormal stuff like early on. It didn't cross my mind really. So when I started writing fan fiction and started talking to other people, they, sent me other series and stuff that were heavy on the paranormal. And then of course I've read Radcliffe's L.L. Rand Midnight Hunter series and stuff. But I don't know. I think I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this. You can cut that little part out if you want to, where I bobble terribly. Liz, rephrase your question again.
Okay.
Sorry.
Actually, I'm going to come at you from a different direction.
Okay. You can leave that all me sounding all crazy. Anyway, go on.
Yeah. So.
Well, we like that actually, because half the time it's me that sounds all crazy.
No, yeah, leave it in. I sound nuts. That's fine.
So one of the things that I am one of your friends on Facebook,
right.
And things I believe that I read, hopefully I'm correct, is that you were having a hard time writing novels without vampires and blood in it.
Yes. I think for me, it's easier to kind of like make stuff up completely. I like adding in certain details to stories, and I think when I'm writing normal people, I in my head, this is just my own neuroses. I have to stick to certain kind of real rules and real guidelines and stuff. I mean, when I wrote The Fling, I talked to my friend Maria about like trainers and trainers' extracurricular activities, and like I talked to her for a really long time, because even though Annie and Oksana had their own story, I really wanted to know what it was like for a trainer. I really wanted to know what it's like when your clients start flirting with you, or if you're, if a client's being really inappropriate with you, or if you have an affair with a client, So I was really serious about talking to her about that, and I worked in reality TV, and so Annie decided that I was a real stickler kind of for getting certain details right and stuff. So with vampires, it's almost easier for me because I can make it up. I can't make up the rules of reality TV myself. If someone who works in reality TV reads the story and they read Annie's life at work, if something is way off, they're going to say, what are you talking about? But if I get to make everything up, that's just me making everything up. and that's so much easier because I can just make up my own rules. And, I can do whatever I want with the characters. And, no one's going to say to me, vampires can't really be demons. But it's like, why not?
It's fun because we interviewed Rad and talked to her about her paranormal, and she had said for her the case was the opposite, that it required a lot more of her to create and maintain this fictional space. And I even was guilty of asking her a question about the contagion and the biting and how that could be not such a great thing, because one of them was made into a wear against her will, that she was experimented upon. And she said that a lot of people, when she does a reading, will ask her some very intricate, pointed things about things that she's written and created, and it creates like a mental contortionism, like, I kind of made it up because I made up the rules for this space. And you seem to be coming from like the opposite direction, that you find it very freeing to be able to create the mythology and stick to the rules.
I have a really wild imagination. I've always been like that since I was a little kid. And it's easier for me to really kind of make up stuff. My first original short story that I wrote was kind of like a fairy tale, so I mean, with real fairies and all that stuff. So I mean, it was easier for me, just to make stuff up completely. I think Radcliffe, she's more of kind of like a type A writer too. I think her non-paranormal stuff is so. I mean, she writes like medical dramas and cop dramas and stuff. I think I would have a really hard time writing those kinds of stories, because I think because Radcliffe has such a vast medical knowledge too that I think that kind of stuff might just come out of her. Like her stories might just come out of her in that way because that is her life experience. Mm-hmm. But, my life experience is like kind of being a professional spaz and like jumping from job to job. And that's kind of why I came to LA and ended up working in TV and movies. Because, I mean, when you work on a movie, you only work on a movie for a few months and then you're on to the next thing. Yeah. So that kind of thing works for me. That's how I am, jumping around and not really. I think regular adult rules are really hard for me to follow. So I think in my writing, it's the same way. So I like to be, when I can make stuff up, it's much easier.
So Andy, do you have any questions on your mind or impressions about reading The Fling?
That's a tough one for me because I expected it to be one way, I guess, because based on your exuberance about the story, Liz. Mm-hmm. But I found that I'm so used to characters having a little bit of, coming together, a little chemistry, and then having the sex. So I was completely jarred in the beginning when it opened up with a sex scene, and I was like, I wasn't
about that.
No.
My bad.
I will be so upset if you ever change that about your writing style. Keep in the porn. Keep in the sex, please.
Oh, no. I'm not complaining, mind you. I'm just, it totally jarred me because I wasn't expecting it. So it was a little tough to recover for me from there.
Oh, okay.
It is sense. Different, instead of, many romance or erotic stories, well, mostly romance, functions in a way that there's, you kind of get to know the two main characters. They either hate each other or, love each other or whatever, you have some kind of drama. And there's, the middle, the big piece of the book where, come here, go away, this is going to work, this is going to work.
Oh, the push and pull you.
And like sexual attention, I'm like, well, I can't wait for them to actually get it on. And like, especially for Radcliffe, I was like, that was so worth those 175 pages I had to happen.
Right. Well, in our romance writers chapter, we were talking about how there's the 5 beats to a romance. So it's when they meet, when they kiss, when they have sex for the first time, when they break up, and then when they get back together. And so when I was outlining The Fling, in my head I was like, well, their relationship starts with sex, so the book should start with the first time they have sex. And so, because that's how their relationship develops. Mm-hmm. So I was like, well, instead of backtracking the 3 months that Annie's been lusting over her trainer, why don't I just start where the relationship really starts? And that's when they sleep together for the first time. So it was interesting for me. I mean, as I was writing it and even as I was doing edits, in my head, I was like, you understand, you start this book off with a 6-page sex scene. Like, you really did that. And I knew readers would pick it up and be like, what? I've had people tell me, oh, I just started reading The Fling. Like, wow, that first sentence of the book is not what I was expecting.
Yeah, I had the same reaction.
A lot of people have said, like, whoa, I was not expecting the book to start off in that fashion. But I wanted to do something different. I wanted it to be, it's not a conventional relationship at all.
Nope.
And I think that, too, made it a little bit harder for me to write, too, because I do have the formula in my head. I have the rom-com formula, in my head, but I wanted it to have a different flavor to it. I wanted it to be something, of its own. Yeah. So I was like, let me just start it off a different way.
Yep, I was one that got caught unaware. That one really surprised me. The opening.
I did too, and I have to say, because I'm a voracious reader, I like when an author mix it up a little bit. From unconventional pairings. I love butch on butch loving, which is not the norm because it's usually very butch femme. Right. And kind of like starting at because usually in many romances, sex is the culmination of them being in love.
Right.
And, the assumption is that's just the way it functions, whereas they had sex in the beginning, pretty much, agreeing that this is just a booty call, fuck buddy kind of thing. And then realizing, that emotionally their hearts are, not really, online with their minds. And they're like, right. Oh, this is perfect. Like, you're hot, I'm hot, we like each other, let's fuck, we fuck. Oh, we're not supposed to talk anymore, but I'd like to text you.
Right.
A lot. And I get all butterfly-y when you text me, and then things develop. I liked that. It was unusual, and I can see how it's jarring. Just like how I, switch back and forth between books and thoughts, which I'm going to do now with Better Off Red. How did you decide to use a sorority for that particular scenario? How did you come up with, the sorority that has the feeders and the sister queens?
Better Off Red came to me kind of all at once. I was in the car. It's funny because I'm from New Hampshire, and I was on New Hampshire Avenue when I came up with the book, so it was kind of funny. But I just literally, it popped in my head as vampire sorority, and I thought about it for a minute. And at first I was like, that's really cheesy. That's really, really corny. But then I was like, this is one of those things that I have this idea, and if I don't write it down, I'm going to be kicking myself for not writing it down. So, I went home and started outlining kind of the beginning of the story, and I wanted Ginger to be in a situation where you wouldn't think you would find vampires. But it would make sense for them to be in a situation to be preying on humans in kind of like a controlled environment that was all female. And so for it to be a controlled environment, all female, and I was like, well, you're going to find that in a sorority house. So that's kind of where I went with it.
Yeah, I think, I went to a women's college, and I think in the artificiality of, I loved going to women's college and turned me gay. It was great. But there is an unreality, this beautiful little feminist, nirvana, Valhalla, whatever you want to consider it. And, that connectedness and separateness from the outside world, and that pleasant insular nature of, having the sister queens downstairs, and, having this really intense, sexual emotional connection between the feeders and the vampires, and, how quickly they go from rushing for the sorority to being a part of something, bigger than themselves that is going to impact the rest of their lives. But it's still, idealized, and that kind of, I guess, some people's fantasies of college girls getting together and, kissing or wearing lingerie. And one of the first scenes, where everybody is involved in this, the initiation thing, parlays into a orgy scene, which was fantastic. And you just didn't drop the ball ever with how feedings and orgasms were, interrelated. And Rad's books with her vampires, they, the only way that the vampire gets off is by biting and taking blood, and they also help their feeders, get off. But this was just it was very psychosexual and much more, I guess, deep into the brain and the subconscious, rather than the usual glamour or, impact that, vampires can, get into your brain and make you enjoy the situation, as opposed to this really intense connection between, the feeders and the sister queens and the overall, and plus there's the glamour of having tons and tons of money, to do whatever you like, and being protected for the rest of your life by really hot, wealthy people.
Yeah. Yeah. There's some appeal to that situation. Definitely.
Yeah. No lie. No lie.
Andy loves her some orgy, and when I read that orgy scene, immediately I was on her page on Facebook, and I'm like, you must read Better Off Fred. There's this awesome.
You know what's funny about that? When I was writing that, again, it was one of those things where I stepped back and was like, dude, you totally just wrote an orgy scene. Because when I was writing that, my entire focus was on Ginger and what she was thinking of Camilla. So I had to write in what she was observing, of course, as if you walk into a room and there's 40 people having sex, you're gonna notice. But in that moment,
it's like fly right over your head.
You might notice that that's happening in front of you.
And in
my head, as I was writing it, I was more concerned about how Ginger and Camilla were interacting. So when I stepped back and was like, oh, wait a second, I totally just wrote an orgy. And so, a few of my friends who read it early on were like, whoa, that orgy scene in the beginning is pretty intense. And I was like, that was unintentional, but that's what happened. And there will be more orgies down the road. That's not the last of the story.
Just keep on writing forever.
Yeah, keep talking about them orgies. I'm all ears now.
That is not the last.
Her little spidey senses are like, orgy.
Yeah, I got the tingle in the lower back.
Well, I turned in the second vampire book back in March, so that's with my editor right now, and that'll be called Blacker Than Blue, and that's going to be Benny's story. So there will be more group feedings in that book as well.
Will it be some mighty fine S&M aspects? Because that Blacker Than Blue just begs the question, at least for me.
Yes, there will be some S&M aspects to that story. Yes.
Sweet.
Damn it! Now I got to go buy another book.
Darn it!
Damn.
Sorry, I think for me personally, not to pin my books against each other, but end result, I like Blacker Than Blue better than Better Off Red, and I love Better Off Red. I was very happy with that when I was finished with it. When I finished Blacker Than Blue, I think people might like Blacker Than Blue better than Better Off Red.
Wow.
Huh. Well, the way I look at it, for example, one of the authors that I felt has grown so much since she started being published from Bold Strokes Books is Winter Pennington. And I had read her Cassandra Lal series because I do like me some paranormal, and I did like it, but I did not like it as much as her future work. And it seems like each subsequent publication, whether it's a full-length novel or if it's a short story, and I'm very enamored of that, and I think that the better authors are the ones that grow. So it makes sense to me for you to really love Better Off Red, but to really like the place that you've gone to with the next in the series.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. Yeah. That's the goal. I'm trying to get better with each one. That's the goal.
Sweet.
Mm-hmm. Lots to look forward to.
Lots of orgies and such.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah.
Don't make me spit out my beer. It's just, taking a leisurely sip of my beer, and I'm like, I'm going to, spew this all over my computer.
No spewing. No spewing.
There's one thing that I'm
my little mouth was grown. No, poor baby. I won't do it to you, I promise.
Oh, Lordy. What were you saying, Rebecca?
Oh, no, I was just saying that I also realized that my body count in my vampire books is kind of low, so I have to kill some more people, too.
Yeah, sister, you got to ramp it up now. Come on.
Yeah, I have to murder more people down the road, too. So more people will be murdered and more vampires will be introduced.
Oh, excellent. Wow. Hey, this has been a really fun show.
I agree.
Absolutely, and we're fortunate that Rebecca has agreed to do a book giveaway.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the porn evangelist, decided to come up with the concept for the book giveaway, which is, what is the most racy proposition you have made or received? And Andy's going to leave information on how you can respond, and we'll end up choosing the person who has the most interesting answer to that particular question.
Yes, all you have to do is submit it to our email site, which is cocktailhour.show@gmail.com. And you have until May 26th at midnight to submit your answers.
So I'm really interested in seeing the entries for that, because the bread and butter of the fling is the proposition which was agreed to before the start of the novel, but sets everything else off. And it comes along the rubric of indecent proposal, from the 80s with Demi Moore. So it'd be interesting to see what people come up with.
Yep.
And I will sign a book and get it to them.
Yay! Because I believe Rebecca's going to choose the winner.
Yes,
so
I will.
sweet.
Who knows what, short stories or novels you can parlay from the things that people, end up responding about. That could be.
That is true. Although I will say, I was telling Carson Tate while she was video vlogging me that I think there might be some sequels to the fling. So this might not be the end of this premise or these characters.
And there you have it.
I like to hear that. Yay! I love when characters continue. Like the ones that I like or love best, I kind of feel a little crestfallen at the end of the novel when it's over, especially for one-offs. And I really do like series, though. It really has to have, an organic extension. It can't just simply be. It has to be a book that can stand alone on its own, that you can, still visit with your favorite characters, but isn't just, a vehicle for a formulaic reconnection to those particular characters, and that's hard to do.
I have another story in mind for Kat, her little sister, and then I have another story in mind for Willow Cruz, the movie star in the book.
I was hoping for her sister, actually, because I liked her her relationship with her girlfriend, and I thought that was pretty groovy.
This might not be the last you've heard of Kat, so hopefully that's good news.
Mm-hmm. I consider it so.
Okay.
Awesome.
And so she pronounced it from the mountaintops. There will be.
There you go.
There
will be porn. There will, and I think in my head, Kat, as she gets older, is almost opposite from Oksana. She's very aggressive and very, very, very kind of smoldering and seductive, and women chase her, and she knows how to seduce. So I think her interactions with women as she gets older will be maybe steamier than Annie's and Oksana's.
Wow.
So.
Dang, girl.
Holy, that sounds wonderful.
She's such a tease. Damn it.
Oh, wow.
Goodness. Well, it's amazing how fast an hour flies. Just absolutely amazing. You are a fabulous guest, I must say.
Thank you for having me. It was wonderful.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Me too.
Is Adrian still hanging in there?
Yeah, she's mighty entertaining. Unfortunately, I wish there was a way to have subtitles or something.
I bet. Oh, goodness. So perhaps we'll get you to come back on somewhere down the road.
Of course. Anytime.
We would like that. And listeners, go give Rebecca some feedback, too. Do you get feedback regularly? I would hope you do.
I do, and I always respond.
Is there an email where our listeners can get in touch with you?
Yeah, I'm at RebekahWSM@gmail.com. So that's REBEKAHWSM altogether @gmail.com.
Sweet.
And I'm on Twitter and I'm on Facebook.
That's right, you are on Facebook, because I think the first time I'd seen you was posting on Moody's wall.
Yes, Colette and we have a good time.
Yeah, she's a hoot, isn't she? Though, holy crap, she's one of our reoccurring guests.
She's one of my favorites.
Yeah,
one of my favorites.
Oh, which reminds me, I don't know if people know this, but on Facebook, I actually am under Subtext Fan WPB.
There you go. Yes, yep. So we're already linked up on Facebook, you and I.
Yep, so, we are. Yeah, we are. But that probably came as a surprise to some people, but not a surprise to others.
Imagine that.
Imagine that. Oh, goodness. So, again, Rebekah, thank you so much for coming on. It has really been a lot of fun.
It's total. Really liked being able to. I always love being able to talk to the authors of books that I enjoy. It's a special treat.
Yep.
I like talking, so that's a special treat for me as well.
It's funny that you say that, because I too like talking.
Oh my, no, really?
You're like, shut up.
That's awesome. All right, so good night, all.
Good night.
Good night.